Island Maritime podcast here for the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League. Mavs Gillis, Jeremy Boucher, and Jeremy. An eventful 2 weeks here in the Q in our part of the world. We see the Charlottetown Islanders are much improved. St. John picked up a goaltender. The Eagles and Wildcats, they had themselves, they're in the midst of a best of three. The Halifax Mooseheads with Jacob Steinman, he picks up Player of the Week as well. We talk about who's the other team we got to get in there? We got everybody?
Bathurst? Did we mention
Bathurst,
Bathurst?
yes. Acadie-Bathurst, who are now the regiment.
We haven't forgot about them yet.
You know, and it's not been it has been a very tough stretch for Acadie-Bathurst. So let's start things off though by talking about the Charlottetown Islanders, man. I mean, I took a look at a stat here that since in the last 10, they're one of the hottest teams in the league. They beat Moncton. They've won 2 out of their 3 games on the road against Quebec. Man, I got to tell you, this is one of the best coaching jobs that Jim Holton's done.
Yeah, he seems to do a lot with what he's got. He always brings success to the team, regardless of the players that are on the ice or on the roster, and he brings out the best in these players. That's how he's one of the best coaches in the league, by a mile, and the results show for it. Regardless of how the team looks or how they're supposed to be, they always get the results. Playoff wise, they haven't exactly had the best success as of late, but at the end of the day, it's Jim Holton. It's hashtag Holton hockey. The players buy into everything that he sells, and that's why they're so successful.
Well, what I'm impressed right now is they're seventh place in the Eastern Conference right now. And again,
Mm-hmm.
they weren't expected to do a lot this year, but for them, they had such struggles at the first part of the year. They made some moves, bringing in Jude Heron, bringing in a couple of guys from Ontario, which is, of course, Holton hockey. But really, what
Yes.
they have put together right now, especially with the that top line of Butler, as well as Simon Hughes and Ross Campbell, they have been
Mm-hmm.
really producing. And Donald Hickey and Nicholas Rucha, again, the cycle for Donald Hickey is really jump started for this young goaltender. So I'm excited to see what he has for his future. But right now, he is playing very well.
Yeah, I had a tremendous year as a 16-year-old in junior A. You don't see very many 16-year-old goaltenders, playing junior A and in the CCHL for that matter. Like that's a very highly competitive, junior A league. And he put up some very, very good numbers. And I couldn't think of a better mentor for him this year than Nicholas Ruccia. Like what an absolute, gem of a goalie to look up to in your first year of junior hockey.
We go to Acadie-Bathurst, and ever since they've been named the Newfoundland Regiment, they've lost 5 of the 6. Of course, they've
Mhm.
been on the road a lot as well. They lost 7-4 to Chicoutimi, 3-1 to Baie-Comeau, and lost 6-2 to Quebec. And that one started off the road trip, so that's a tough one for Acadie-Bathurst as well. We're gonna have Josh Fleming on to chat a bit about his development as a goaltender. But what have you seen with Acadie-Bathurst?
I think what we see from Acadie-Bathurst is, I think the best is yet to come for them. We saw what they were able to put together in the playoffs, and I think once you get to that time of the year, anything can happen. We saw what they did last year, against Halifax in the first round. 4-game sweep. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull off some magic again like that this year. Once it's a different series, it's a different grind out there once the regular season ends, and anything can happen.
It's uncharacteristic of Acadie-Bathurst as of late, though, because their defense has been so stellar over the last couple games for them to come away with score lines where they allowed 7. I saw there as well. There was one where I think, um, again, 6-5 getting into a shootout with Gatineau. Moncton putting up 7 on them. Of course, Moncton has been the wagon. The Mooseheads winning 4-1. It's uncharacteristic of Acadie-Bathurst. So we'll see them. Again, this is the ebbs and flows of junior hockey, but I'm certainly interested to see how they right the ship here. And again, it's got to play on them a little bit that this, of course, everyone knows that the team's sold. It's on its way to St. John's, but once it was
Mhm.
announced, yes, this is the Newfoundland regiment. That's got to be an interesting locker room, and kind of how things are going in an interesting hockey community. You're losing your junior hockey team. There's talk about the Fredericton Red Wings moving up there in the Maritime Hockey League. It's going to be intriguing to see what Gordy Dwyer does with this team down the stretch.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you got a feel for those players. You know, they know what it's their last year in Bathurst. Some of them have been there for years. You know, Josh Fleming. You know, he's going to talk about his time in Bathurst here later on, and it's unfortunate for for their fans. You know, it's a great hockey community. You know, but like you said, there's rumors that they're getting a junior A team next year, and I know that's going to be a success. You know, they're going to have rivalries with Campbellton and Miramichi, but you got to look at the present, and these players have got to focus on the task at hand. Yeah, there's still a month and a half left in the season, and then there's playoffs. They want to go out with a bang. They want to do something great for their fans. Do they have the team to do it? Not necessarily, but like I said, we saw what they did against Halifax last year. And for them to go in and maybe pull off another upset this season would be amazing.
Yeah, and again, they're no slouch. Again, I do like their defense, and I do like their goaltending power in Mikas and as well Josh Fleming. And it's goaltending and defense is what capitalizes in the playoffs. So they are going to be a
Hmm.
very hard out. Speaking of playoffs, both Halifax and St. John today, the Q released a tweet talking about what the playoffs would be if they ended today, and it did kind of it did secure for a lot of fans that yes, not just one but two teams can cross over from the Eastern Conference into the
Hmm.
West. So Halifax and St. John would both be in the playoff picture right now. Of course, St. John would be taking on Drummondville, and Halifax would be taking on the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies. But St. John, they go out and get another BCHL goaltender in Eric Young, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Eric Young from the BCHL. It's as long as it's the BCHL, which is an unsanctioned league. Teams are free to bring in players from there up until I believe the 10th of February. We saw Moncton do that with Simon Binkley, who was playing with the Vernon Vipers. So I guess it's as long as you have maybe a player on your radar in the BCHL, you have till the 10th of February to sign them. And so we still see some teams taking advantage of that.
Yeah, and when we talk about a new goaltender and a new face with a new team, Jacob Steinman takes
Yeah.
away team of the week honors with the Mooseheads. He picks up his first shutout, a 1-0 shutout over the Quebec Rempart. But he was very close to it against Acadie-Bathurst a couple weeks ago. The Titans, or no, sorry, it wasn't Acadie-Bathurst. That was Chicoutimi. Was it? Yeah, Chicoutimi. Beg your pardon. When Chicoutimi scored with about 24 seconds left
Yeah.
in that 5-1 win. But Steinman has
Mhm.
been turning heads, and he is really, really settled into his role with the Halifax Mooseheads. And I can tell you, the Herd are very happy to have him, and I think he's happy to be there.
He absolutely lights out. Yeah, he's been by far probably the best goalie in the league since the trade deadline. And it's if Halifax manages to steal a few games from now to the end of the season, and maybe avoid a 4 or 5 game elimination in the first round, Jacob Simon's going to be the reason why. He's stealing games right now, and I don't see that being any different. He's Bowling Green commit. He wants to prove himself, and in the back of his mind there, he's got some people that he wants to to show to Moncton that you made the wrong decision in trading me. And so far, there are a lot of people I can speak for here in Moncton that are wondering if this trade is going to pay off or if it's going to come back and bite them in the butt. It's a very very divided trade, and I to this day I still don't know what side I'm on. He's
Well,
been
and
absolutely amazing.
and Halifax is only 1 point out from taking
Hmm.
on Moncton in that first round. Right now, Quebec in that spot, but again, there's about how many 64 games, so we've got 15
Hmm.
games left for all the teams. A lot of hockey to be played there, and Look, Halifax is if it's Halifax Moncton in that first round, it is going to be very intriguing to see what happens there, especially with so many former Mooseheads on the Wildcats and the upstart Halifax Mooseheads trying to make something happen for Jacob Steinman is going to be locked in on that series
Oh, 100%.
if that's how things play out. Now you talk about
Yeah.
how Steinman is the best goaltender since the trade period. I gotta disagree. And we could talk about Cape Breton with Alexi Cornwallis, him taking
Yeah.
away
I
goaltender of the
mean,
month honors, and I gotta say he is an absolute. That's an incredible story for him
yeah.
to kind of be plucked from Junior A from Truro, who he was having great success with the Truro Junior A Bearcats. For him to
Hmm.
come in and have the season that he is having and the ride that he is doing, again, this is a guy that wasn't promised anything. He came in as kind of as a backup for Jacob Malota for the Cape Breton Eagles as he went away to World Juniors, and he earned his spot on this team. And he's not just earning it; he is really pushing the tempo now. I know they've lost their last two to Moncton. We'll talk about that there, but Cornwallis is a prime example, another of a long list of examples of guys that develop their game in Junior A, and when the opportunity is right, they're able to strike here in the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League.
Yeah, when the phone's ringing, don't ignore the call. He's really been quite a story. It's mind-boggling the numbers he's putting up since signing with the Screaming Eagles. It's Screaming Eagles, my bad. Eagles, showing my age there. But no, let's be honest. Numbers like that, he should be a starter in the league. It's phenomenal. It's an incredible story of perseverance and not giving up. And I was surprised. And we're going to talk about the series with Moncton, but I know he started the Thursday game in Sydney. But when you saw that Jacob Malota was back on Saturday and healthy, you assumed the Eagles would be going back to their number one goalie. But here's Alexi Cornwallis getting the start in Moncton. So it's you got to wonder: is there maybe a controversy starting
Well,
there?
no, I won't say that because I know that the conversation with Cape Breton was Cornwallis was going. Melota was back in the lineup, but they still wanted to take another week to get him
Hmm.
back and ready to play. So he was dressed on that game on Saturday, but it was going to be Cornwallis net that night. So I think it was just something that there. I would not be. Melota will probably be the guy on Thursday when the Wildcats take on the Eagles. But yeah, I think if they split the net the rest of the way, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever because both guys have been competing at a very high level and they've been doing a great job of keeping the puck out of the net.
It's a good way to keep Malota rested, right? You see a lot of these goalies right now, like they're gassed. They're playing. If you include playoffs, some close to 70, 80 games a season, depending on how long you go into the year. Like they're gassed. Some of these goalies are just being overworked and they need a break, which is why it's so crucial in this league to have, a reliable backup goalie,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So you,
A- and I think you really do need to have a kid that is going to be in your lineup that you can count on for 20 to 30 games there. I know you you want to be able to count on them for 20 to 30 if something happens to your starter, but also to ensure that you're developing a kid for the next season moving forward, but also sharing the load there because as you talk about for a starter to in this league, if they go deep, you are looking at potentially having 50 games because once you do get to those playoffs, you are going to have that one the bell cow back, as I would like to say in football, to lead the way. I mean, I take a look at Mathis Russo with his successful run 2 years ago with the Mooseheads. I mean, there was no
Mhm.
doubt about it. Mathis Russo was the guy that teams had to go through to defeat the Halifax Mooseheads when they went to the President Cup final. Um, but at the same time, you do have to have that guy that's going to play your 20 games, not just to give a relief for your starter, but also to ensure that you have a kid that's ready to go in case of injury, and you have your next generation of goaltender ready.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you got to make sure that you're developing your goalies, and that's kind of been an issue in Moncton. We've had great goalies in the system. They just haven't been developed the right way. You look at a goalie like in Victoriaville right now, Gabriel Dag. He was so highly regarded, coming out of the U18 circuit, and he just hasn't lived up to expectations, if you want to put it that way, right? And so you've got to make sure that you've always got the depth in your organization, regardless of the position.
And actually, it'll be a good conversation with Josh Fleming. We're gonna have him in, the Acadie-Bathurst Titan goaltender as well. Penn State commit. That's incredible. This is a kid that went from being undrafted to committed to Penn State. Played in the Maritime Hockey League to get himself ready for the opportunity to play in the Q. And he was a call up from Gordy Dwyer, and Acadie Bathurst had him for 3 games, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden they sign him, and he's off to the races. And he's split the net for basically his entire junior career with guys that have been drafted to the National Hockey League. So I'd love to pick his brain kind of on what he's picked up from being able to practice with that level of goaltending day in and day out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun. Good chat. Great story. If you want to talk about if there's any young kids out there that you're not exactly playing at the highest level, but you've got the skill and talent to get to the next level. Listen to this interview because I'm for sure he's going to have some tips on how to get noticed.
Now, and that said, I know we do have to talk about the Eagles and Wildcats in this
Hmm.
impromptu best of three. And I know we did the game on Saturday with Eastlink. It was the 3-0 win for the Moncton Wildcats. Rudy Guimont picking up his first career shutout, and it was the second win of this stretch for Moncton. It was the fourth win in a row for the Wildcats over the Eagles, and Moncton's defense did not give anything for Cape Breton to get inside. They really kept them to the edge, and they played a tremendous game. And right now, I think you know it's Moncton's head and shoulders above everyone in the Maritime Division. It's trying to find the spots in the armor for teams to attack them. Gardner McDougall's put together a great team, but you guys certainly have to be happy in Moncton with what's going on there, and especially seeing the young kid pick up his first career shutout.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite. It was great to see Rudy Guimont get that start. The game in Sydney on Thursday. Matheus Rousseau is obviously a great goaltender, but there were some goals that let's say he should have stopped. So I don't know if this was supposed to be Rudy Guimont's start on Saturday or not, or did maybe Gardner McDougall see an opportunity to maybe give Matheus Rousseau a break and give Rudy a start. And if that's the case, great call. To go and get your first career shutout in the queue, and got the shower on Eastlink after the game, which a lot of the fans in Moncton were not used to seeing Eastlink in the building. So to get a shower after the game, it was I know a lot of the fans really enjoyed that. But
It's
I had the opportunity to talk to Dylan McKinnon after the Wildcats lost to Rimouski, and he pulled no punches. He said that was a terrible game, and you'll never see us play like that again. Lo and behold, 4 days later they go into Sydney and put up a 6-3 win. And put just a tremendous effort, and then they go and do the same thing. 2 nights later in Moncton. The game in Moncton was arguably their best game of the season.
it's now though it's for Cape Breton. It's trying to figure out the enigma of this is
Mm-hmm.
the roster they built to beat Moncton. How will they do that? Now they've got a couple more games in the regular season and take their chances as we move towards the playoffs. But no, it's certainly going to be fun down the stretch. And speaking about Moncton again, Alex Mercier had a 16 game point streak going into that game. Now did get snapped, but
Yeah.
that's an incredible stat.
Yeah, he's a bulldog. He's probably one of the harder workers on the team, and I know they renounced their leadership group there last week. He could have easily gotten an A. Just his work ethic and his just his mentality and his approach to every game, is deserving of a letter. But at the same time, you look at Moncton's roster and there's just so many veterans on that team. Uh, you almost you had to ignore Alex Mercier because you have Marcus Vidicek, you have Dylan Gill, You have Caleb Denoyer, who, if he's not in the roster, if he's not in the lineup, Moncton's not the same team. To have that kind of an impact as a 17-year-old says a lot about him. And yeah, Alex Mercer's a leader, just based on work ethic. But just if he doesn't have a letter on his jersey, doesn't mean he's not going to work his tail off every game.
Well, a guy who's worked his tail off for the Eagles is Cam Squires. He's going to be joining us after a quick word here, but Cam Squires, Josh Fleming joining us on the Around the Maritimes podcast right here on the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League YouTube page. Hey there, are you looking for more sports action? Well, for a limited time, Prime Sports, which is front row access to TSN, Sportsnet, Sportsnet 1, Sportsnet 360, and the Golf Channel, are all included with Eastlink's internet and TV bundles. Plus, of course, you get to watch us with Eastlink Community TV and QMJHL Friday Night Hockey, plus a whole bunch of other local sports. That's right, you get TSN, Sportsnet, Sportsnet 1, Sportsnet 360, and the Golf Channel. That's all included in Eastlink Internet and TV bundles for a limited time only. Call or visit an Eastlink store today. All right, joining us here on Around the Maritimes, Cam Squires from the Cape Breton Eagles. And Cam, not the results you wanted in this impromptu best of three so far with the Moncton Wildcats, but the results have certainly been there for the Eagles. What's been working so well for Cape Breton here in 2025?
Yeah, I think just building off of a good break. The guys coming in and change is good sometimes. So you get new faces in the locker room, and there's new faces all over the league. So I think for us, it's just with our group, kind of building chemistry, working on that second half, and including a big piece, a big stretch leading up to the playoffs. But for us, it's just been playing together, playing as a group, and our identity. We know when we play to it, we can be a top team, and I think just continuing to do so, leading up to the right time of year, it'll be setting up for a good playoffs.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess I guess for you personally, there, Cam, the start of the season, probably a bit of a slow one for you, but you really poured it on ever since. So, what was the difference between now and the first half?
Yeah, I just think to kind of talking about that stuff, just having a good break, resetting, and getting some rest, but just kind of building yourself up. From the start of the season until the end. And you want to be getting better as the season goes on. I think just looking for myself to do that is a big piece. Just keep getting better as the games go on and be more reliant in all those scenarios. So, yeah, just a mix of those things.
it was a tough November for you, Cam. And I know it was, up and down the lineup, and even to the point where Louis is saying, Cam Squires has got to be better. When in those conversations between you and Louis, what do you take away from that? And especially now that you're on the other side of things, and you and Joey and Jacob are playing so well together, but getting out of that, what was kind of the messages, and what do you take away from that in that battle?
Yeah, it's just the reality of things. You gotta accountability is a part of hockey. You gotta be able to wear it on the chest. If you're gonna go out there and be a go-to guy every night, when things aren't going your way, you're gonna be, magnified a little bit more too. So, just wearing that, learning from it too. Things aren't always gonna go well. You see guys every day, and it's the guys in the pros, and their experiences are amplified even more if they go through a tough stretch of time. But you just look at the guys and how people handle it. But I think just continuing to work every day, and the best place is just to come back to practice and just kind of simplify things. And that's where you can control your game every day. Just working hard and trying to get out of that little rut that you're going through, and things will pass by.
So you go from the rut to a tremendous line with Jacob Newcomb and Joey Hannaberry. He's been a nice piece for this team. How much fun is it for when your three hop the ice?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Obviously, they're two 20-year-old players in this league, and yeah, it's kind of crazy to think of myself as a 19 playing with two 20s now. I just used to wasn't too long ago I was looking, at those top lines in the league who were 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds, and now to be a part of one is pretty special. They're really good players, like you said. Everybody brings a different piece, I find. Nuke's he's so underrated with what he does. He brings so much to our team. He's obviously a leader, but just the way he plays the game, he models it after. And I'm sure if everybody looks at him close enough, he plays it just like Crosby. Um, he's power forward, and he creates a lot of room out there. And Joey brings energy and skill, and he keeps people on their toes out there too. So I think just having guys like that to play with is huge for me. Working with each other, and like you said, building chemistry is huge. The more games you play with each other, the more comfortable you get, and you see some tendencies. But yeah, they've been great linemen so far.
Going back to your, I guess, your time before, the Q, you had a monster year in Bantam AAA. You made a decision then to go down south to Bishop's Kearney. What was behind that decision to go down south?
Yeah, so that was pretty interesting time for a lot of people and a lot of young hockey players with COVID and everything. But for me heading down there, it was basically just to kind of get out of PEI and get out of the Maritimes and see something different. Um, like I said, it was right in the middle of that pandemic, so my parents weren't too comfortable sending me down to New York at 15 years old with everything that was going on. But I told them, I said I want to go down, and that's what I thought was best for me at the time. And you know, things have a funny way of working out, but it was an important 3 months for me. I think I got to see a lot of American talent down there, and it kind of opens your eyes to the whole world. You're not just playing, Moncton and Newfoundland teams for the Atlantic Championship. You're playing with players from California and Connecticut and Vegas. It's pretty crazy to see all the different areas that hockey players come from down there, and it opens your eyes, and it kind of set me up to have success coming into the Q at a young age, but by living down there by myself. But I enjoyed a lot, and I learned a lot from that time.
And now you go back to the tri-state as a member of the New Jersey Devils. I know this year preseason you got an extended look with preseason with the Devils being over in Europe, and it was an opportunity for you to throw on some NHL jerseys and play some games. What was that like for you? And what do you take out of that experience?
Yeah, it's awesome. Obviously, I remember saying every time you get to put on a jersey with an NHL logo on, no matter what you're doing, it's pretty special. So to have that opportunity was amazing. I got to be down there, like you said, the Devils were in Prague, so their camp was pretty fast forwarded a little bit. But with the changes they made, they bring in a new coach in Sheldon Keefe, and he kind of got down there in day one and just set the tone with that fast-paced, quick hit camp. And just to be in the, working with those players for that week that they were there was special. You learn so much from just seeing them around the locker room, in the gym, taking care of their bodies, and then just obviously first and foremost on the ice. When you get to play with them, I feel it elevates your game as well. Passes are on the tape, everybody's in their spot, but they make it a little bit easier sometimes too. But obviously they're great hockey players and a great hockey organization, and to have that opportunity to dress in Philly that night was a pretty special night. I'll never forget. My family was down there, and it was fun. Just had a lot of fun. I knew I was coming back to junior for another year, so it was basically let's just go play some hockey out there and just not put too much stress on it. And then I was right back in Cape Breton, I think, not even 24 hours later, playing against Rimouski the next day. So it was a pretty crazy weekend.
Yeah, I guess like you signing your entry level contract last summer, like were you aware that you were close to getting a deal done? And I guess what do you remember about that day?
Um, yeah, I remember. Obviously, there's that timeline of a couple years to get that deal done for players before they re-enter the draft and whatnot. But for me, I just got back from dev camp, and there's tendencies with that. Some you see players kind of get signed in groups or throughout a certain timeline. Sometimes it's Christmas, sometimes it's at dev camp, and then with just the way that the paperwork and everything goes, it didn't happen at dev camp, and so I got back and I basically was saying, all right, I'm pretty confident in the playoffs I had the year before and where I'm going to be leading up to the next season. So I said it didn't happen at dev camp, so I just focused on having a good first half and a great year again this year with the team, making strides and then getting it done. I was actually in my backyard in Morel PEI, shooting pucks on my outdoor pad that I got there, and basically I found out I was shooting pucks, and then I hopped in my car to go to the gym, and my agent called me and he told me. It was pretty laid back. He was just, "What are you doing this week?" I just thought he was checking in, and he said, "Well, the Devils like to sign you," and he said, "That's good news. So I'll talk to you later." And he just kind of said it so easily, and so those guys deal with a lot of that pretty often. But he said congratulations, and I had to pull over my car. I couldn't really focus, and I called my mom and dad and my brother and just the people who've been there to share it with them. Obviously, I wouldn't be here without them, and to me, that was just a moment of really feeling, one of the first times where we achieved something pretty special. It's still kind of setting in more and more. Like every day, there's not too many days that go by that I don't think about it, but yeah, I'm pretty grateful to be in the position I'm in.
I guess
So,
oh, sorry.
so my question is, where were you headed? Where were you headed in the car at that
I
point?
was going to the gym, and then I was going to the gym, and yeah, I was a little bit late getting there, I think.
Did you get the workout in?
I did, yeah, and
Attaboy, Cam.
I didn't. The kind of funny part was just kind of keeping on the down low until it was announced the following week. I think it was announced on that call happened on a Monday, and it was announced Friday. And basically, just going in there and with working out with the guys who play in the NHL, a great group from PEI. Just didn't tell anybody, just kind of went about it. But that that week was a little easier going to the gym for sure. But by Friday came, I walked in there and it was announced, and they were all kind of high fiving and giving some hoots and hollers too. So it was pretty special to, feel recognized and congratulated by guys who've gone down that path before.
What's that crew like in PEI of guys working out in the summer that are in the NHL, AHL, and what's that fraternity like?
Yeah, it's a great group. Obviously, PEI's for how big it is, it's got a great, hockey wealth there. It's Dobson, Jordan Spence, Benham MacArthur, Ryan Graves and his family spent time there. Ross Johnson, Nikita Alexandrov. So like a lot of guys who've played in the Q. And you look Zach McEwen, all those guys who've either spent time in the Q, but just to look around and see all paths are different, and it's good to see. It's good to remind you that there's no straight path of where you get drafted, you sign, you play right away. Everybody's got a different path, and to look around and have guys like that pushing you to get better, and that's all they want to do. Work together, get better, and prepare for their season ahead, and then everybody goes in a different direction.
Yeah, we had Gardner McDougall on the show a couple weeks ago, and we asked him about what makes PEI so special when it comes to coaches, and he said it's got to be the potatoes. So when it comes to the on the player side, is it the potatoes or is it I guess the legacy of Andrews Hockey School?
I think it's those two things have definitely played a factor in every young hockey player from PEI's life for sure. Um, Andrews was a great spot. Obviously, the late Alan Andrews, may he rest in peace. He was a great mentor to me. Spent a lot of time with Al and a lot of conversations. And just the way that he inspired young players to play hockey and to lead and just the life away from the rink too. He was a great man. He did a lot for me as a player coming up, and I just still remember last conversations we had. He was just telling me how proud he was of me, to keep working, and he always told me he knew I was going to achieve great things. So to have somebody that believes in you like that you're not related to is pretty special. And then the potatoes too. They're pretty good. Me and my billet brother Will Murphy still bring over. His grandfather, I think, dropped off 100 pounds of potatoes there the other week. Bring over the red dirt spuds, and my billet family cooks them up, so they're pretty solid.
Well, don't forget about the golf over PEI. Last time, your last game in Charlottetown, your brother, I had a nice chance to interview him and Biggs, and they were very quick to be inviting me out to play some golf at Crowbush with you in the summer. So I do hope to take them up. You hit it pretty well there, Cam.
Yeah, it's a great track out there in Crowbush. Like I said, my family just moved out that way, 2 minutes down the road. So got about 40 rounds in there last summer. So I'm pretty sharp. Still looking to break 80 on a consistent basis. You know how some days by hole three it could be just tossed out the window, but it's a great time. Golf and PEI is amazing, and that's the thing. No matter how old you are, you can bond around. So that's all. It's great to get out with hockey guys or just my best buddies and play around.
Well, I know there's going to be a lot of time for golf, but we still got a half season and playoffs. And last year with the Eagles playoffs, coming up short against Baie-Comeau, but certainly the strides made. What has to happen this year to keep things moving that right direction here with Cape Breton?
Yeah, I think just build it every day, every week. Just keep stacking days. I think, like I said earlier, just peak at the right time. Be playing your best at the right time. Take games like this. Obviously, it's basically like a mini playoff series in the middle of January, February. So, you take these and you learn, and you get ready for the ups and downs of playoffs. Um, Last year, I thought, like you said, we had a great run. We had a lot of guys contributing, and to be on a team like that, it was pretty special last year, where everybody brought something to the table. And so we're looking to be a team like that again. Obviously, that can bring you a long way.
At this, I guess at this juncture of the season, like given where you guys are, in the standings, and you're looking to get home ice advantage, do you pay attention to what's happening with the other games and all the jockeying and positions that's happening in the standings right now?
Yeah, it's pretty out there. Everything's so public now, and there's no way you can really kind of ignore the whole thing. But I think just continuing to for us, it's just you win as much games as possible and look to put yourself in a good position. Home ice is very important. Learned that last year. Didn't really notice the importance of it as much as I did until last year. Um, but to have, obviously in Sydney, we had the fans absolutely show out for us, and they really helped us a lot. So I think, and I believe they're going to do that again this year. So to win games and obviously look to get home ice and match yourself up against any team. But I think once it comes down to it, anybody will tell you in a playoff series, anything can happen. So if
Mhm.
you're that, you're still gonna have to work hard as compared to those middle matchups. There's no given.
And I know the road from Sydney is long, the longest travel in the queue. How do you spend the time on the bus?
I've spent. I was talking about that yesterday. I'd like to see how many hours I've spent on that Cape Breton bus, but it's been a lot over the last 4 years. Um, Now it's a little easier. I'm kind of further back and can kind of stretch out a little bit more and get some sleep. But I like reading. I enjoy reading, watching movies, listening to music, or even just hanging out with the guys. We don't play a lot of cards back there. There's sometimes we'll just shoot the shit for 5 6 hours sometimes. Um, it's pretty down pat now. I can sleep pretty good. But when I was 16 and I was doubled up, sitting straight as a board all the way to Rwanda, I don't know how much sleep I got back then, but um, you kind of work your way and you get used to it. Um, yeah, and I'd say I'm probably pretty used to it by now.
I I know we're talking about a long road. Um, it's hard to believe that you played your final game in Charlottetown on that road. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it was pretty special. Obviously, it's crazy just to see how you know, may never have the chance to ever play there in a game again. But when I was younger, I was even playing there in novice and Adam and stuff. But yeah, it was unbelievable. I've always enjoyed it ever since I was 16. But the one memory I have there is me and Jake, my brother Jake, standing on the blue line when I was 16 and he was 18 in my first year. And hearing just uh, that little faint cheer when the name was announced for the starting lineup. And knowing exactly who was there cheering. So it was pretty special to be able to play many, many games there, score some goals in that building, and just have fun just playing there. It just never felt like a game. It was always it was always a game where you never didn't have legs playing in that one.
Awesome. Well, Cam, I think we're good here, brother. Jeremy, you got anything else for Mr. Squires before he takes off and gets ready for Moncton on Thursday?
Well, I don't think we can let him go without getting a Super Bowl prediction.
Ah,
You
fair
know, is
enough.
he? Are you going Chiefs? Or are you sticking with the team name?
That's the thing. I don't know how many people want the Chiefs to win, but I I can't see them losing. But I'm gonna have to say the Chiefs, to be honest with you. I think it's gonna go their way on Sunday.
I'm hoping it's the Eagles. I'm hoping it's the Eagles, man. I can't see a. They're throwing around that this is going to be bigger than the 72 Dolphins, and I can't have that on my watch, Cam Squires.
No, you can't have that.
No, brother. As always, appreciate the time, and we'll see you at the rink.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Cam.
Thanks, Cam.
All right, fun to talk with Cam Squires as always. I get to see him a lot with us on Eastlink, and you get to see him a lot in the Avenir Center. So great to have a chat with him. And yeah, it's certainly one of those many guys from Prince Edward Island that's holding the banner high for hockey from that island.
Yeah, for sure. Like he mentioned some names that he works out with in the gym, and those are some big names. And in a few years, he's going to be one of those guys working out in the gym, and the next star from PEI is going to be walking in to tell them that they signed their entry level contract. So it's sometimes life goes full circle, and you can bet my last dollar, that's going to happen someday.
And we're gonna go from a guy who has signed his deal to be with the New Jersey Devils to a guy who has signed his letter of commit to be a member of the Penn State Nittany Lions. That is going to be Josh Fleming, the goaltender for the Acadie-Bathurst Titan. What are you looking forward to with chatting with Josh?
Just getting to know him. He's been around the league for so many years, and the name Cam Squires because he's an offensive guy. He's putting up the numbers, and he's winning humanitarian of the year in 2023. And then Josh Fleming is he's just an academic guy. He seems like every time you turn around, he's winning an academic player of the month award, and this is the best part about doing this show is getting to know players that you go to the rink to watch every night, but you don't have the opportunity to talk to. And here you are, here we are, just chit chatting with guys that are going to be playing NCAA hockey next year, or could be very well be in the NHL next year. It's quite a wild ride.
Well, here we go. Josh Fleming from the Acadie-Bathurst Titan. Hey, get the bundle that reinvented bundles. With Eastlink, you can get a gig internet and unlimited mobile, all at $109 a month. That's a gig internet and unlimited mobile, all for $109 a month. It's the perfect pair. And you want to make sure you call 1-888-345-1111. Visit eastlink.ca for more details. Joining us now, Josh Fleming from the Acadie-Bathurst Titan, soon to be Newfoundland Regiment, but there's a lot more hockey to be played in Bathurst before Newfoundland. Josh, thanks for taking some time. I know it's been a bit of a tough stretch for you with Acadie-Bathurst, but you're having some success. What's been working for you this year?
Yeah, I think kind of just, like it's my last season in the league, and I think kind of just taking advantage of that and just doing as much as I can to have a successful year has been important for me this year, and just having fun and enjoying it. I think that's kind of what the main focus has been thus far in the year. So
Yeah, you didn't exactly take, I guess, the most common route to get where you are today. Talk a little bit more about your journey to the Q.
yeah, so growing up, I was never kind of playing on the best teams or anything. Um, and then kind of like I only played midget AAA in Quebec as a third year, so I was never drafted to the Q or anything like that. I never even kind of considered it an option until that year. I had a really hot start, so a few teams were interested, and we decided to kind of sign with Bathurst. And then the following year, I get to camp and I get injured, and Bathurst wanted me to play junior A in Grand Falls to kind of start out and just play a lot of games before I can come up, hopefully. And I was playing well there and recovering from my injury, um, and then I ended up coming up at Christmas that year, and it's been like that since. So I'm kind of super fortunate to be where I am, and it's been a weird journey, but I wouldn't really change it for anything.
It's been a weird journey, but it seems like, again, you were splitting time with Jan Bednar. You're splitting time with Keller, Antoine Keller, and now you've got Mikas in there as well. You've always been practicing with guys that are drafted in the National Hockey League. How's that
Yeah.
helped your development as a goalie?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the guys, they're great. Like I've never had a bad goalie partner, and I mean, they're drafted in the NHL for a reason. So kind of just learning from them, even like unintentionally, it just naturally happens that you kind of learn from each other. And I mean, they're great goalies, obviously. So it's been cool to learn from them, especially since they've all kind of been like European guys. They kind of have a different style. So I mean, that's kind of been cool to see the different kind of styles different guys play with. And I mean, I don't know. I've just been kind of learning every day and building good relationships with those guys.
So you start the 2022 season with Grand Falls as you mentioned, but then there's an unfortunate injury to Jan Bednar that puts you kind of into the spotlight in Bathurst as the number one goalie. How big of an adjustment was it for you going from junior A to the Q?
Yeah, it was tough. Like I was pretty lucky to kind of fall into that situation, and um, the jump was like pretty big. Like in terms of like speed, like everything kind of just felt faster, and there's a lot. Obviously, it's like there's a lot of skill in the queue, so it definitely was an adjustment at first, and like even now, like this year, I'm still kind of learning from the league and how to kind of play certain situations. So like I'm just taking it day by day and still learning even in my last year.
What would you say was a bigger jump? Was it a jump from the U18 to MHL hockey or MHL to Q?
I think I would say U18 to MHL to junior hockey because I feel like it's just I don't know, it's just a whole different kind of level. Like guys are older, bigger. Um, I don't know, it's just faster. Like you kind of get guys from different places too. Like I never played against guys from the Maritimes before, so just kind of all that. I think it just made the jump from midget to junior hockey, which was hard.
If you look back at last season, seventh place finish in the Eastern Conference gives you a date with the Mooseheads in the first round, and knowing you guys were the underdogs, did that kind of allow you to just be yourselves and knowing that you have nothing to lose?
Yeah, I think for us that was like really important. Like we kind of just as a team, like collectively, we didn't really have any pressure, so it kind of allowed us to play freely. And I mean, we kind of just started clicking too. Like we were playing well, we were playing hard. Um, it was a sweep, but I mean, two of those games were overtime, so it was like it's still a really close series. But we managed to kind of get that win and turn some heads a bit by upsetting Halifax. That was pretty nice.
For the relationship between with you and Gordy Dwyer. I mean, Gordy's going to be a guy who brings you in undrafted as a call up, and now you're 3 years with him as your coach general manager. What can you say about that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, it's been like obviously a journey, and I'm really thankful to Gordy for kind of giving me the opportunity to play, and um, like we built a good relationship over the years, like him being my coach and my general manager over the last 3 years. We've kind of like we always see each other and talk, and no, he's a great coach. He like the boys respect him, and so do I, and we've kind of built like a good relationship, and like I'm glad he trusts me in certain situations. So I mean that helps a lot with my confidence and my ability to play. So like I'm really thankful for kind of that opportunity to be where I am right now.
In developing
That
as a
first,
goaltender, in developing as a goaltender from Montreal, um, who's been some of the influences? Who's been some of the people that kind of really pushed you over the last, on your journey up to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with my goalie coach for a long time back home. His name's Marco, and we've been kind of working for 10 plus years, and he knows what's best for me. Like he knows when to push me or when I need it. And obviously my parents and stuff have been great support over the years, kind of always trying to make me the best I can be. And just kind of being from Montreal, like it was never easy playing against, like there's so many great goalies from Montreal. So growing up, it was never easy, but it kind of, I think, like influenced me to push myself harder to try to be at the level those guys were. So a lot of that is good. And my goalie coach also trains Devin Levi in the summer, so getting to watch pros and stuff is really it's really fun to watch that kind of stuff. So
yeah, that your workload after your first season got you invited to Buffalo Sabres camp. What did you take away from that experience that you brought back to Bathurst?
yeah, so that was really like a crazy experience for me. Like again, I never really even expected something like that. So to be fortunate enough to go there, and I think the thing I noticed the most there was like how professional everyone was and how serious it was for everyone. And I think that really helped me over the years. Like just seeing a sneak peek of what I kind of where I want to get to in the future is like it really like inspired me to kind of get to there at some point in my career. So just seeing the professionalism of like the staff and the coaches and the media and all that and all the players is something I kind of brought back and been trying to focus on in my junior career.
When you're on the ice in Buffalo at camp, what's a moment that kind of caught you off guard?
I think honestly, just putting the jersey on, like obviously the speed and the skill and all that was really crazy, but just kind of just putting the jersey on and taking a breath and being like, wow, I'm at an NHL camp. Like I think that was the coolest part for me, and like it still doesn't even feel like I was there, but I was. So I think just seeing that and seeing my name on the jersey was kind of a dream I always had as a kid. So
I don't think we'd have you on without talking about the NCAA change and your commitment to Penn State. So it's kind of a two-part question. What made you decide on being a Nittany Lion, and I guess what other schools did you check out?
yeah, I mean, um, I was talking like with the whole rule change, it was kind of like almost perfect timing for me and the other kind of 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds in the league. So I was pretty pumped about that rule change, and kind of being able to go both ways is pretty cool. So yeah, like obviously there was the process of talking to a few teams and seeing what was the best fit for me in terms of kind of development and trying to ready myself for the pro level. And then for I mean academic wise too, that's really important for me and my family. So we were kind of taking those into account, and just talking with the coaching staff and the guys at Penn State was really like eye opening. And no, we just think it's the best spot for me in terms of like I said, like trying to develop as much as I can and play really good hockey, and then also having a really good education too. I think that's why like those are the main reasons why we picked there.
Not to get too deep into the weeds, but again, it's been a gold rush for guys like yourself to be able to commit to the NCAA. When How soon when the doors opened for these opportunities did coaches start contacting you?
I know there was a few guys that kind of like things happened like almost right away, right when the rule changed. But I think for me, I started talking to a few teams a bit like right before the rule change, so like maybe a week or two before. So probably sometime in like late October or something like that was when I guess teams started kind of coming to games and reaching out to guys.
What do you
Honestly,
enjoy the
how
most
much?
about? Oh,
How?
sorry, Jeremy.
Oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Maps. Oh, sorry. Um, how big of a game changer is this rule for players like yourself?
I think it's huge, really, like especially for Canadian goalies. Like I think obviously goalies develop a lot later, so being able to kind of play at that next best level and get like playing with like adults and like it's super high level hockey, and I think it's just the best option for us in terms of getting ready for that pro level and then finishing school too at the same time is really good. So I think it'll be a really great thing for the future.
What are you going to be taking at Penn State?
I'm going into business.
Oh, congrats, man. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Are you in university now, or are you just waiting for this door to open?
Yeah, so being from Quebec, like the school system kind of works differently. So when I came out here, I did grade 12 instead of CEGEP. So I'm taking a few university courses right now, and then excited to kind of start there for next year. And they have a great business program, so that's another reason why we thought it'd be a great fit for me.
Any other schools that you're willing to tell us that were interested in your services?
I don't know if it's like if I should like name schools. Like there's I don't know how that all works. There was a few like from different divisions, I guess. Like I don't know if I should name them or not, but there was a few, and it was pretty cool to kind of see options and be able to even like choose which school I'd want to go to. So that was a pretty cool spot to be in for sure.
Moving into this year now, since the announcement of the regiment, I've been curious, what has that kind of been like for members of the Titan? I know you won't be there next year, but what has that been like for you guys playing for this team that is looking towards next season being in a new home?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, over the Christmas break, kind of we obviously heard rumors about it before, but like having hear it like being confirmed, it was kind of crazy to think, but um, I think the guys are kind of trying to just enjoy the last year here, and especially with the community and like the billet families and stuff like that. I think it's super important for us to kind of just like not be too much in the future. Like obviously, there's guys that are really excited. Like obviously, like we've heard it's a really great place to play. So there's guys that are excited for that for sure. But I think just staying in the present right now and in Bathurst, I think is what a lot of the guys are kind of looking to do.
Yeah, I guess we had Cam Squires on as well. I asked him the same question, so I guess I'll ask you the same question as well. Super Bowl's coming up this Sunday. Do you want to give us maybe a prediction and a final score?
Prediction. Okay, so I'm actually not like a big super football person. Obviously, I'll watch the Super Bowl, but I don't really know too much about it. I think I'm gonna hop on the bandwagon for the Chiefs and have them get a three-peat. And my brother really hates them, so I think that's another reason for me to choose to go on that side. So yeah, in terms of score, I couldn't tell you. Like I maybe like I don't know. I think it'll be a close one. I think they're gonna win by like 3 points or something. Something close, I think.
See, and again, and this is going to be the thing. You are going to be able to pick it is going to be a 3 point game because you just threw a number out there saying, three. I don't know. And it'll hit. It'll hit.
Hopefully,
And
yeah.
and we will
Yeah.
try to analyze and overthink the game. But yeah, no, I think we're going to blow them out there. It's going to be a 14-point game, and then boom, you'll nail that. That's exactly how it works.
It's
Cur-
always yeah.
yeah. Currently, you guys are sitting in six, and I know it is a very very tight Eastern Conference. But in the playoffs, defense, goaltending with yourself and Mikas, and I'm going to ask you a question about Mikas in a second.
Okay.
Um, where you're moving forward, what does this team have to look at going into the stretch and especially looking towards the playoffs?
Yeah, I think like you said, like our division's like really tight, and there's a lot of good teams that are kind of close right now. I think we're kind of just looking to build kind of momentum before playoffs. Like, I don't think we should kind of worry about necessarily who we're going to play or where we're going to finish. I think just kind of get some positives over the last few games and just build for that. And I know we're a playoff team. Like we kind of showed it last year. Like we really like the playoff atmosphere. So I mean, just kind of taking it day by day and building towards like our goal in playoffs. I think that's what we're doing.
With the amount of European goalies you've been working with over the years, have you picked up European sayings from being around them?
Um, a few. I don't know if I like. They're not necessarily the nicest words. I don't think so. Um, I don't know, but it is cool to kind of hear like the different languages and the cultures that different guys come from. Like I think Jan Bednar was from Czech, and then my first year I was with Sergei Litvinov. He was like he's Canadian, but he's from Russia too, so that was cool. And then being with Keller last year, he's French, and then Mika's sister is Latvian. So it's kind of just collecting all the different European countries, I guess. But yeah.
That's you got the European Union on the go. How do you say Mikas's last name?
Meek is okay, so it's Vekvanags.
Vekvanas? Okay.
Yeah.
Magvin,
Okay.
okay, yeah.
Vekvanags, yeah.
We've been
Yeah.
again, and I've been scouting and keeping an eye on it for whenever we have you guys again. Although the only time we'll have you on Eastlink again is if it's the playoffs. But
Okay.
I was looking forward to potentially having Vekvanas in there and trying to find that around. But that's
Just a
good.
disclaimer, I hope that's right. Like
Well, again,
for my sake, I hope I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, but
it would be something I would have to ask him for sure. I would ask him before going on the air. What's the relationship like between you two?
yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I had a good relationship with my goalie partner before Christmas, Matis. So it was sad to see him go, but then I mean, Mikas came in and he's always kind of a positive guy and laughing. So he likes to joke around. So it's kind of nice to have someone who's like who can lift your energy when you don't really feel like high energy some days. So I feel like he does a really good job at that, and he's a really good guy, really good goalie. He's always trying to learn too. So that's kind of nice when we could kind of learn off each other in practice and in games, and it's not only like me learning from him or him learning from me. It's kind of just a two-way street, which is good for a goalie tandem.
When you were developing, especially in your first and second year in the queue, how important were those starts and finding your way in this league, especially because we talked a little bit before we came on about how important it is for guys getting their opportunity in those backup roles to really find their footing in this league and find their footing in junior hockey. If you look back to your rookie or sophomore season, what do you take away from some of those starts and maybe I guess sometimes looking at some overwhelming games and coming out with a triumph afterwards?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, especially like in the early days in my first few starts and stuff, like it's really kind of nerve wracking, right? Like you wanna do good and you wanna prove that you should be there. I think over the years I kind of learned that the most important thing, at least for like a goalie in this league, is kind of having a routine and a routine that works for you. Like it won't be the same for everyone, obviously, but kind of finding your own routine and then sticking with it, I think is the best way to stay kind of consistent in your game. And yeah, like I said, like it won't be the same for everyone. So I mean, that I guess that's what helps over the years is kind of trying out new things, seeing what works for you, and yeah.
Getting back to Mikas, you watch the World Juniors, and Latvia is always a team they're going to be a pain in your butt. Are Latvian goalies the same way? Is his work ethic match the that of the players on Latvia, the World Juniors?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, the World Juniors was crazy to watch, and it was kind of, I mean, being Canadian, we obviously want them to win, but it was kind of cool to see an underdog story happen, yeah, like I mean, I guess Latvians are hard workers. Like Mikas works hard, and he kind of earned his way here too. So, I mean, I guess you could say that they work hard and like they play too. So.
Well, you talk about earning things. You earned your way to Penn State. You earned your way to an NHL camp. You earned your way from Lac St. Louis all the way through undrafted, man. When you take a look at, I know there's a few months left in the career, in your junior career, but when you take a look back at it, what are some of the things that stick out for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like as a kid, I didn't even kind of think about the Q or even think about that, and just being able to play in this league is really an honor. And then, like you said, like being able to commit and then go to an NHL camp has just all been bonuses. And I mean, like I'm really grateful for like everything I've done. And I mean, I've had a rocky kind of path here, but again, like I wouldn't really change how it happened. I kind of enjoy that. Like it's not nothing good comes easy, right? So just kind of learning from the hard stuff is what's helped me, I think, over the years.
Well, you're a very good example of that, and good things have happened. Wish you best of luck the rest of the season, and again, we'll hopefully see you in the playoffs. And if not, well,
Yeah.
best of luck at We Are Penn State.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Are
you
you are
guys for
you ready
having
for
me.
that? Are you ready to go to a football game, though? Because you
I
said you're not a football guy,
I know.
and
I know.
and now you're going to Penn State, where that's a 90,000 seat stadium.
I know. I think I kind of have to become a football fan in a way, but I've heard the games there are crazy, so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, Josh. Jeremy, anything else for Josh?
No, look, it's been a pleasure watching you, and take the floor. You've been in Bathurst for a few years now. What's your message to the fans?
Yeah, obviously, like to the fans, like I mean, we couldn't have really been a team without them, and I know they've had the team for a long time, and it's a big part in the community. So like again, like I'm really appreciative of everything, and I know the team is gonna play our hardest for them for sure for the last few months. So I mean, I hope they come out and they support us, which I know they will. So I think it'll be a fun 2 months for the rest of the year.
Awesome.
Love it.
Thanks again, Josh.
Perfect. Thank you
Thanks,
guys
Josh.
for having me.
Yeah. Take care.
So thanks again, Josh Fleming, as well, Cam Squires. Again, what a story from Josh Fleming, a kid that went from undrafted to the Q, gets called up, plays some Maritime Hockey League action, and has had a very good career in this kit league.
Yeah, shout out to the Bathurst scouting staff for finding him. It's not sure where Bathurst would be if it wasn't for Josh Fleming the past 3 years, but kudos to their scouting staff. They sit in the rink and they watch every player every night, and you never know when you're going to find a diamond in the rough.
Oh, and now we move forward this weekend. I see that it is Hockey Fights Cancer Night at the Scotiabank Center on Saturday. We've got the Mooseheads and Blainville Friday. That's on Eastlink, so I'm looking forward to seeing Blainville in town to take on the Mooseheads. And I think we've got Mooseheads Eagles on the 13th, so got a chance to see Cape Breton again up in Halifax. That's going to be the games on Eastlink Community TV. As always, it's fun to be following that. It was fun to be in Moncton as well. I got to say that again. And again, seeing yourself, Jeremy. I get to call Craig Eagles, but of course, seeing our good friend Brent DeBourne. Always a pleasure to see Brent at the rink.
Brent's always there. He's got his vanilla iced coffee or his Pepsi, and he's ready to go every game. And God love him. Probably the biggest Wildcats fans, and love chatting with Brent. Great guy, and I can't wait for the day where Mr. Irving finally gets his Memorial Cup, and Brent's one of the first ones he hands a trophy to.
That's true. That would be a tremendous thing to see. Also going to be great this weekend. I believe it's Country Western night at the Eastlink Center for the Islanders. Not a country Western guy. You a country? I mean, I'm guessing Moncton always has a country concert, right?
Yeah, you know what? I'm a big Western guy, big country fan, but I did spend the last 2 weeks catching up on my yacht rock. So
How'd you like it?
I look, there's a lot more songs that I thought I knew.
There you go.
I was jamming out to a few of those yacht rock songs.
There you go. Yacht rock is it's the best. Again, if one of the teams wants to have yacht rock night, let me know, and I'll be there with
Eastlink will be
Bozo.
there. Yeah.
Oh, that would be sick. Yacht rock night on Eastlink is that'll be incredible. I've got a sailor cap around here somewhere. Anyways, but hey, let's say when you have a yacht rock lifestyle, you need to make sure you have the accoutrement. Accoutrement. What does that mean? That's a Winnebago man reference. Don't look it up,
Uh,
kids. Anyways, Jeremy, we're on our way to more rinks, and we're on our way.
yeah.
It's around the Maritimes here with the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League.